My name is Daniel Gray, and I used to believe that every mystery had a rational explanation. Until I took a weekend job at Ashcroft House. I'm not a ghost hunter, not a psychic. I'm a history grad student. My thesis was on abandoned settlements in rural Virginia. I was looking for records in Ashcroft County when I found a flyer pinned to the board at a gas station. Help wanted, archival assistance, Ashcroft House Historical Trust. It was perfect. I called the number and a woman named Iris answered, soft-spoken, said they needed someone to help catalog papers and personal effects left behind in the estate. 3 days, private room, meals covered, decent pay. It sounded too good to be true. And it was, because something was waiting in that house, something that had been forgotten, and now it remembers me. Ashcroft House stood at the end of a long gravel drive, hidden behind curtains of moss and low-hanging trees. The structure was beautiful in a haunted way, Greek columns, stained brick, and those long, tall windows that always seem like eyes. Iris met me at the front door. She was older than I expected, white hair pulled back tight, pale eyes, and a limp that slowed her pace. "You'll be in the East Wing," she said, handing me a ring of brass keys. "There's a kettle in your room. Work starts tomorrow." She didn't show me around. She didn't mention anyone else in the house. That night, I didn't sleep well. The house groaned like it was settling into its bones. My floorboards creaked even when I wasn't walking. And sometime around 2 a.m., I swore I heard footsteps pacing the hallway outside my door. When I checked, the corridor was empty, but one of the paintings, an oil portrait of a man in a black frock coat, had fallen from the wall. The frame was cracked like someone had slammed it with their fist. The next morning, Iris led me to the library. It wasn't cozy. Nothing about that house was, but it was stunning. High shelves, spiral stairs, rolling ladders, and the air was cold. "Start with the ledgers," she said. "These belong to the original owner, Elias Ashcroft. Keep notes on what you find." Elias Ashcroft. That name had come up in my research. Reclusive landowner, wealthy, vanished in 1902, along with his entire household staff. No explanation, no remains, just gone. By noon, I'd already found strange entries. Mentions of guests in the mirror and midnight parlor sessions. His handwriting changed too. The last pages of the ledger were erratic, shaky. Then something strange. I closed the ledger and looked up, and the library was darker. Not like the sun had gone down, like the windows had dimmed. I checked my watch. It was 12:34 p.m., but the grandfather clock in the hall read 9:17, and ticking backward. That night, I walked the East Wing out of restlessness and something else, curiosity. The hallway was narrow, lined with dust-covered portraits. Most were unremarkable, Ashcroft ancestors, severe-looking women in high collars, stiff men with mustaches. But one painting at the end of the hall was covered in a sheet. I hesitated, pulled it down. It was a portrait of Elias Ashcroft himself, but something was off. His eyes were painted completely black, not shadowed, black, like two voids in the canvas. And behind him, in the painted background, stood a shape, a figure in the shadows, featureless, watching. I backed away and nearly knocked over a pedestal. As I turned, I saw my reflection in the window. Only I wasn't moving. My reflection just stood there, watching me walk away. I didn't sleep. Every time I shut my eyes, I saw the reflection, not just in the window, but in the ledger room glass, the polished brass of the doorknobs, even the surface of my tea. I tried to talk to Iris the next morning, asked her if she'd ever seen anything strange in the house. She just looked at me and said, This place remembers. It forgets nothing. Then she handed me a new box of documents and walked away. Inside were letters, handwritten, yellowed with age. Most were addressed to Elias. The last was different. No envelope, no name. Just 3 words scrawled in the same shaky hand as the final ledger entry: "Don't look back." That night, I did exactly what it told me not to, and everything changed. It was just after midnight. I had been pacing, notebook in hand, trying to shake the tension that clung to me like cobwebs. I walked past the east wing mirror and saw the figure. Not a reflection. It was behind me. I spun around, nothing. Turned back to the mirror. It was still there. Tall, blurred like a smear of charcoal. A face without features, just the hollow suggestion of eyes. And then it raised a hand and pointed, not at me, past me, at the portrait of Elias Ashcroft. It was gone, just an empty frame swinging on the wall. I ran back to my room, locked the door, pushed the desk against it, but the mirror over the dresser was fogged, and scrawled in the glass, "Now you see." I confronted Iris the next morning, demanded to know what was happening. Her eyes, once cold and unreadable, now looked glassy with fear. "You've seen it," she said. "The house let you see." She wouldn't say more, just handed me a rusted iron key. "The cellar," she whispered. "Everything starts and ends down there." I found the door at the far end of the west hall, beneath a moth-eaten tapestry. The lock screamed as it turned. The stairs behind it were stone, wet with condensation, descending into a cold that felt centuries old. The basement was huge. Brick walls, earthen floor, shelves full of jars I didn't want to open. In the far corner, a mirror, not hung, freestanding, ornate, covered in a white sheet. I pulled it away. My reflection smiled. I didn't. Behind me in the glass, Elias Ashcroft, his black eyes empty, hands outstretched. "We remember," he whispered. The lights blew out. The mirror shimmered, and I felt something pull, not outside me, from within. I couldn't move. The pull was psychic, emotional, like my fear had become a rope tied to my spine, dragging me closer. The glass vibrated like water. I reached for the stairs, too late. Everything turned black. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in the basement anymore. I was in the house, but wrong. Upside down. The halls twisted, endless. The portraits watched me with real eyes. My footsteps echoed behind me. I ran. Every door led to another version of the same room. Mirrors covered every surface. In each one, a different version of me, tired, angry, hollow-eyed, smiling with too many teeth. Then I saw Elias again. He stepped from a frame, silent, towering. As he passed a mirror, it froze, glass icing over, cracking inward. "Why me?" I asked, or thought I did. He didn't answer, just reached out. "Because you listened," he whispered, "and now they see you." Behind him, dozens of eyes opened in the mirror, watching, waiting, and then I screamed. But it didn't come from my mouth. It came from the glass. I woke on the floor of the library, shivering. The mirror was gone. So was the key. So was Iris. Sunlight streamed in through the tall windows, but it was pale and wrong, like the light didn't want to be there. My reflection in the brass doorknob was fractured, two versions of my face blinking out of sync. I stumbled to my room. My bag was packed. A note sat on top. "We forget what we let in, but it never forgets us." No signature. I left. I didn't lock the door behind me. I didn't look back. 3 months passed. I moved to a new apartment, changed my number, burned the notebooks. But I still see him. in glass storefronts, in puddles, in my phone screen when it turns black. He smiles, I never do, and sometimes just before sleep I hear it. That voice, old and sharp as broken silver, because you listened. And somewhere far away, the sound of a door creaking open.